Kunai is a lonely, shut-in boy living in modern-day Japan who lives like a hobo with a messy room, pee bottles, sticky magazines everywhere, and a bunch of lotion alongside a crusty sock near his bed. So relatable. He spends his entire day playing an MMO RPG, in which he has gained administrator privileges by basically being the strongest player inside the game, whom he has designed as a mob boss. One night, he logs off the game and tries to go to bed when suddenly a bright light appears, and he is Isekai'd to a different world. Truck-Kun's job is being stolen by AI as well. He opens his eyes to see that he is surrounded by complete greenery, which instantly makes him believe that he is not on Earth. He looks around to see a huge lake and a dense forest around him, and he also notices that he is wearing different shoes, a suit, and even his voice seems to be different. He quickly walks over to the water and peers inside to see the face of the mafia boss, Demon Lord character he created looking back at him. He is very shocked to see himself like this, even though I personally think it is an improvement over what he looked like earlier. He checks his pockets to find them filled with throwing knives, which is cool, I guess. He slowly starts piecing things together and wonders whether he has been transported into the game that he used to play, so he calls in for administrator privileges and is able to access them. He tries to find a way to go back to the real world, but is unable to do so, and decides to get cancer instead, as he starts smoking some ciggies. He thinks about the ways he can escape from this world and wishes that he didn't buy so many doujinshi and should have probably gotten some isekai mangas to navigate through this problem. Before he can do anything, however, he hears someone behind him and turns around to find a cheap imitation of the best girl in all of anime rem. He smokes his ciggy and asks her if she's okay, as she seems to be heavily injured, but she tells him to quickly run away if he wants to stay alive, which turns me on a bit, as I like crazy girls. Just look at my ex. Sadly, however, the girl herself isn't dangerous and was just warning him to stay safe as a giant behemoth or monster descends from the sky, right in front of him. Kunai asks to discount Rem whether this ugly monster is her pet, but she replies that it isn't, and this monster is actually extremely powerful. The demon looks at Kunai with sad eyes as he had some body dysmorphia and being called ugly was his biggest insecurity. He decides to express his feelings through violence, which again reminds me of my ex as even their looks match. The demon slashes at Kunai with its big claws, but he is able to block its attack, only getting a small scratch on his face. This enrages him, and he flips open his trench coat and flashes the monster, which blasts him into the sky, exploding him like a bunch of fireworks. He starts doubting his theory of him being transported into this game as, like an insult, he has been playing this game his whole life and knows his way in the game better than he knows his way to the bathroom, and he has never seen that monster in the game, nor has he seen this girl before. The girl gets scared of him and asks him not to eat her out, and he replies that he won't as he is not hungry yet. She seems to be very impressed by Kunai's abilities to kill the monster so easily and calls him a demon lord, explaining that the legends claim that only an angel or a demon lord has this much power. He asks why he can't be an angel, to which she replies that he doesn't look white enough, which is very racist. Thankfully, it turns out that she was talking about the color of his cloth and not his skin, and she introduces herself as Rem, who belongs to a village nearby and is a very poor orphan, who lives her life by picking up garbage and cleaning human waste from the communal toilets. For this reason, she faces an immense amount of hate from the villagers who deem her harem and don't even go near her, calling her smelly, unclean, and ostracizing her completely. This is very isolating for her, as all she wants is a normal life where people mind their own business and let others be happy, but we all know that humanity is dead in people nowadays. She tells him that this monster recently started terrorizing their villages and always asked for human sacrifices, and this time when he came around, the villagers forcefully offered her as a human sacrifice, deeming her life to be worthless anyway, and that's why the monster was chasing her. He tries to extract more information from her and asks her whether she knows a country called Japan. She shakes her head saying that she has never heard of any such place existing, before he asks her about this place that they are in. She replies that this kingdom is called the Holy Kingdom of Cherubs, which is controlled completely by churches, so basically America minus school shooters. She looks completely dirty, so he tells her to take a quick wash in the lake nearby, while he waits for her in the distance, and she seems to be extremely happy about getting the opportunity to take a bath. She goes inside of the lake and starts washing herself, while Kunai stands behind a tree and starts meddling with the administrator's settings. He realizes that he has full access to them, meaning he can create a lot of things as well. After knowing that, he summons a soap and a towel and walks up to the lake, handing it over to her so that she can clean herself nicely. She comes out of the lake and he puts all the stuff back into the void that he took them out from before asking her whether she knows the place where this demon came from. She replies that the monster was supposed to be an incredibly powerful being who was sealed inside the Wishing Shrine, but was able to break his seal for some inexplicable reason that she doesn't know of. He asks her whether she could guide him there, and she replies that she can, but he notices that she seems to be hurt on the foot and turns his back around for her to piggyback on. This takes her by surprise as she starts telling him that he shouldn't touch her as she is dirty and a harem person, but he replies that he is an atheist and tells her to hop on. This makes her start crying as she has never seen such empathy from anyone in her life before. She tells him that she is just a mere garbage cleaner and a toilet cleaner. Why is he being so good with her? But he replies by saying that garbage and toilet cleaners are a very essential part of society before scooping her up on his back. He opens a notebook, shows it to her, and asks her whether she can read what he has written. She calls her handwriting ugly, but ends up reading the entire fanfiction that he has written about Harry Styles. He is interested in this phenomenon as he has no idea why the language seems to be the same, if the world is different, and to answer that, I have only one word: colonization. He asks her for more details about the place they are heading to, but she replies that she herself is short on details as the wishing shrine is said to be a holy place, and if you were able to reach all the way inside, your wish would come true. They finally reach the shrine and he starts smelling a rotten smell coming from the inside, so he tells Discount Rem to stay outside while he goes inside to check. He walks deep inside of the cave when he spots a bunch of dead bodies on the floor and reaches near the end of the cave where he finds a giant throne on top of which the statue of an old witch-like woman is placed. The witch woman wakes up and tells him that she just looks like this because she isn't wearing makeup before calling Kunai the demon lord. This again confuses him as he never thought of himself as a demon lord and only wanted to be a mafia boss. She tells him that she has granted many wishes so far, and this is going to be the last wish that she is going to grant before withering away in the wind, so he should think well before asking for what he wants. He tells her to shut up and asks her to explain why he was here and whether it was she who summoned him. She replies that it was the wish of the dead men nearby who wanted the demon lord to be summoned in this world, and she simply granted their wishes. He looks at her and asks her whether she was the one who let the demon loose as well, but she replies that she had nothing to do with the demon, as when these people wanted to summon the demon lord, the demon escaped from his seal on its own, ended up killing these people before going out to harass the villagers. She asks him not to waste her time and simply ask for the wish that he wants, and he tells her to send him back to the world where he came from as he misses his pee bottles and his crusty sock. But she tells him that she can't do it before withering away into the dust. But before she gets disintegrated completely, she ends up giving him a ring, which gets stuck on his finger, making him look like a goth chick. He returns outside to find Discount Rem waiting for him, and he starts walking ahead while she follows. He asks her whether there's a big town nearby, and she reveals that there is, and he asks her whether she can draw a map for him, as he wants to go there. She gets a little sad about it, and asks him whether he wants her to leave him. He looks at her surprised and asks her whether she wants to come with him, and she enthusiastically replies that she doesn't want to come with him if he doesn't have any problem with her, as she has nowhere to go anyways, because she got kicked out of the village. He tells her that if she doesn't have any problem with that, he doesn't mind her tagging along, as a person from this world can come in handy. She gets extremely happy at this and asks him whether they can go back to their village once so she can get some of her stuff back, and he agrees to that. He carries her on his back once again and starts running towards her village while she explains that her village got cursed by the demon, and now they have no running water, and all the agricultural land has become completely barren, and the soil has become poisonous. She then directs him towards a large fence, and he tells her that her village is inside that area. They enter the village, and she gets down from his back to walk towards her home when suddenly a bunch of young men surround her completely. Kunai is like Adios and disappears completely, just like my dad, while Discount Rem turns around to see where he is. Kunai is better than my dad, however, as he ends up contacting her through telepathy and tells her that she shouldn't be afraid as he is around. The guys start taunting and shaming her, saying that she should have never come back, that her mom was a TikTok thought, that she is dirty and harem, and that she should have sacrificed herself to the monster regardless of anything, as she doesn't deserve to live. They start pelting her with stones while she tries to shield herself, and finally, Kunai decides that enough is enough, and appears in front of them, blocking their attacks. They are shocked to see this man, whom they first thought to be the demon's underling. One of them recognizes him as the demon lord and gets scared. They again start trash-talking her and seem to be more toxic than my teammates in a game of Valorant. Kunai, like any Discord mod, decides to abuse his administrator's power to impress an underage girl and throws a knife at one of the guys, and as the knife gets stuck behind the wall of the house, it all catches on fire. Kunai simply grabs Rem and hops out of the village, saying that the villagers seem to be very cold, so he just turned up the heating a bit. Kunai and Discount Rem make their way out into a desert, where they are forced to take a pit stop as they can't travel during the night. Kunai puts her down on the ground before using his mod privileges to get out 2 small boxes from his black hole, and combining them together to create a nifty little shelter for the both of them. Rem is hella surprised to see such a neat magic trick and asks him how he did that, to which he replies that he is just cool like that. She still seems to be very apprehensive about this weird cabin, but he assures her that it is made up of military-grade metal, whatever that means, which can even repel missiles from Mother Russia. This reassures her completely, as everyone knows Mother Russia has some mean missiles. They enter the house and he directs her to a small bath that he rigged up temporarily so that she can take a hot bath while he lays down on the bed and smokes a couple of cigarettes. After a short while, she comes out of the bath and he promises her that he will create her a huge jacuzzi someday, and even though she has no idea what that means, she is happy that he is willing to do these things for him, but confused at the same time as to why would he do these things for a stranger like her. The next day, they move out again, making their way towards the city. On the way, he notices that a bunch of robbers are hiding on either side of the cliffs, aiming a bunch of bows at him. He sighs that the robbers are so low level that they will die immediately if they end up attacking him, as his auto attack and intercept abilities are on. He puts her down and removes those skills temporarily, and immediately a bunch of arrows fly towards him, scaring Rem. They are no match for him, however, as his auto defense activates and their attacks are so low level that they simply hit his defensive barrier and fall back down. He shouts at them to reveal themselves, as he already knows where they are, and suddenly an entire horde of goons emerge from the rocks and descend down upon him. They surround him completely, and the leader walks forward, acknowledging his strength and skill. But as soon as he sees the leader, he remembers his manager at the place he was currently working and starts apologizing to him for not coming for work. The leader seems confused and weirded out and calls him an old man. This angers Kunai, who gets into a verbal battle with the leader where they call each other old men. Very mature. One of the underlings try attacking him, but he simply turns around and flicks the guy away, shocking and scaring everyone else, before he tells them to back off as they aren't worth fighting. Suddenly, a large sparkle is seen in the sky, and a TikTok user emerges, using her magic to instantly defeat the robbers, while Kunai walks in front of Discount Rem to protect her from the damage. He acknowledges her strength as he looks at her. She seems to be a 16-year-old girl who, like every other influencer, thinks too much of herself. She comments on the fact that he must be slightly stronger than the robbers because he was able to withstand the attack, and she announces herself as Luna. He starts making fun of her name and calls her a disgrace, which sends her into a hissy fit as she sends her guards to Kunai, commanding them to capture him first. They all attack him at once, but his auto defense blocks out their attacks easily as he grabs their lances and throws them away. He starts walking towards her, throwing away any of the knights who would dare block his path, which starts scaring Luna. He finally catches up to her, and she puts her hands above their heads, but he ends up picking her up and starts to spank the shit out of her. He becomes a total demon and keeps spanking her till she gives him a lot of money to spare her, which he happily takes and leaves the area with Rem. They go on their journey again, and finally, after walking some more, they enter the city, which is hustling and bustling with a lot of people. He decides to spend her money on useless things, as he wants to gain an understanding of the currency and decide whether he has enough to buy a slave. He walks up to a vendor and asks him for 2 pieces of skewered meat, which Discount Rem finds incredibly tasty, but is reluctant to take, as she thinks she doesn't deserve it. After that, he takes her to a hotel and asks the receptionist for their most expensive room, which he offers him for the price of 1 gold coin a night, which is extremely expensive. Discount Rem tries to stop him and ends up calling him the Demon Lord, which instantly scares the crap out of the receptionist, who looks like he has just seen a Demon Lord. Kunai quickly makes some things up and tells him that it is just a nickname that his friends gave him, before taking her to the side and telling her not to call him the Demon Lord in the presence of other people, and to call him Big Brother or Father. She ends up asking whether she could call him Daddy instead, but he instantly shoots her down because he is into mature women. They get inside of the room, and Discount Rem seems to be beyond herself from excitement and starts prancing around the room, as she's never seen a room this fancy and could never even dream of stepping foot in one, let alone staying in one. He looks at her and feels happy before noticing that she doesn't even have more than 1 pair of clothes, so he decides to take her to a boutique to get her some new dresses. She tells him not to, but he insists, and they both enter one of the fashion stores, where he meets a very flamboyant man who made me question my sexuality. He tells the designer that he wants some good clothes for his daughter, while pointing at Rem, and when the designer asks him how much his budget is, he simply pulls out the biggest gold coin out of the pink purse, which shocks every employee in the store. The man is immediately willing to sell their mom for that much money, and Discount Rem is taken by his employees into the dressing room while Kunai lights up a cancer stick. He asks the non-binary man whether they have an ashtray in their shop, and the man immediately drops to his knees and offers his hands as an ashtray, before turning around and offering other things as well. Kunai replies that he doesn't swing that way and turns around to wait. Discount Rem comes out of the dressing room after a short while and is wearing a beautiful little dress that makes her look like a princess. The non-binary person asks him whether he wants anything else as he is willing to sell his soul to him, but Kunai asks him to give him every single dress that she can wear, and then they decide to head over for dinner. They go into a really fancy restaurant where they sit down to eat. Discount Rem feels a bit uneasy, so he asks her if anything is wrong, and she replies that it all feels like a dream, and that she doesn't deserve this. Exactly what I feel when I am with my girlfriend. He tells her to shut up and eat, as everyone deserves love, just like my girlfriend. They start eating when a crazed-looking Luna enters the restaurant calling Kunai the Demon Lord, which gets the attention of the people dining there as they already were pretty invested in who Kunai was, because of the rumors of him buying everything in the most expensive fashion store for his alleged daughter. To dissolve the situation, he offers Luna a seat with them, but she keeps acting like a bratty sis, so he lets her know through his eyes that if she doesn't do what he tells her to, he will punish her like a bratty sis yet again. This scares her as she sits down, and Kunai orders food for her as well, instructing her to eat before he gets up from his seat and apologizes for creating a scene and offers everyone a free bottle of wine as an apology. After dinner, both he and Discount Rem start making their way back when Discount Rem asks him why he is so mean to Luna while he is so nice to her, even though she is a lowborn, whereas Luna seems to be a highborn. He tells her that his heart is with Mother Russia and he wants to bring the capitalists down by crushing the wheels of the aristocratic society completely. She doesn't understand what he meant, and to be fair, neither do you all. But it is enough to keep her mouth shut. He looks over and notices that she is still limping from all the wounds that she got when she was being chased by the demon, and he grabs her, carrying her back to the hotel. After reaching the hotel, he was about to turn in for the night when there is a knock on the door, and he opens it to find Luna again. He tells her to piss off as her face annoys him, but she begs him to stop as she doesn't have any money left because he took all of it. He just tells her to go back to her troops and stay in their tents, but she tells him that she told them to go back as he was ashamed. He sighs and gives her the pouch back, but she asks him whether she can stay with them, and he refuses, but Discount Rem ends up telling him to be a little kind, and he ends up allowing her to stay. The next day, he sits around in the living room and asks Luna to tell her about the entire history of this town, and she doesn't reply at first, but when Discount Rem asks her to help him, she ends up telling him that this town used to be part of the holiest civilization, created by a divine being who is famed to be entombed in the Wishing Shrine inside of a dense forest. But after that, the city ended up falling into ruins, and now they try everything to make sure that it never happens again. He tells her that everything she just told him was completely ridiculous and leaves the house to earn some dough. He goes near an antique shops and enter it, talking with the owner with great bravado, acting like a person of very high descent, and it ends up working on the owner. He tells the owner that he has a bunch of extremely valuable antique items that he wants to sell, and anyone in the city would sell their mothers to buy these antiques. This completely interests the owner, who asks him to show him some of the stuff, and gets a stupid earthen bowl out of his pocket and puts it down on the shelf. This earthen pot was made by him using some of his skills, as the art of baking still hasn't been found in this civilization. This bowl ends up captivating the owner, and he takes a long look at the bowl before asking him how much he wants for it. Not knowing what to say, as he simply made this bowl for basically nothing, as it is virtually worthless, he tells him that this is basically a token of their friendship, as he wants to maintain a long and fruitful relationship with him. This really surprises the owner, but before he could leave, Kunai remembered that they are basically broke right now, so he turned around and told him that he ended up losing his money in an accident and would want a little bit of payment for that. The owner asks him how much he wants, and he ends up blurting out that he wants one giant gold coin, which is the biggest currency that they have. The owner is shocked but ends up agreeing, and Kunai tells him that the bowl is really valuable and not to sell it below 5 giant gold coins before taking his leave. He's arguably better than the Indian scammers, not gonna lie. He returns back to his hotel, where he ends up hearing a giant ruckus outside and hears someone shouting Luna's name. Thinking that she had done something wrong, he ends up hiding around the corner and peeks through to see a horde of manly men and a woman at the helm looking like they came out straight from Mad Max. He stays hidden, while the woman screams for Luna, who comes rushing out of the hotel and goes to her, and she immediately starts scolding Luna for going out alone to find the Demon Lord. Luna eagerly tries to tell her that she found the Demon Lord, but is instantly shut down by her sister, who thinks she's an idiot. Before they can hash it out, however, a bunch of hooded men appear from within the crowd, surrounding their units from both sides and start attacking them with their fire and magic spells. They target the Mad Max lady, who simply pulls out a giant sword from her ass and uses it to deflect everything. You slay queen. Kunai looks at them from the side, deciding to be a silent observer for the time being, and remembers that he has seen these clocked men before in the Wishing Shrine, as the men that were lying dead over there were wearing these cloaks. A bunch of the hooded figures jump in to attack the queen, but she ends up using her giant sword to kill them in a single slash, while Luna uses her magic to get rid of the remaining attackers. Kunai looks over the seemingly possessed demonic sisters fighting together when suddenly, one of the hooded men walks up from the crowd and opens Pandora's box, out of which a black substance emerges and starts spreading all over the floor. The queen tells everyone to run away from the black substance while they can. What a racist freak. They are, however, unable to escape in time as the black thing envelops them and makes them powerless as they fall to the floor, completely defenseless. The hooded men get out their bows and arrows, shooting at the girls, but the giant brute of a man comes in front of them and blocks the arrows, getting hurt in the process. Kunai decides that maybe now's the time to get involved and tries to do something, but suddenly, the ring that the weird witch statue gave her starts malfunctioning and he falls to the ground helpless as he is unable to move even a single muscle in his body. He tries again to get up, but is unable to do anything. When he decides to access the mod privileges and tries to see what's wrong, he is unable to do anything, and the only thing that he could do was trigger a character change through the admin's settings, so that's what he does after he has no other choice. Suddenly, an enormous light surrounds him, blinding everyone, and once it disappears, a dashing young man emerges from it with silver hair and a dragon logo overcoat. It seems like the entire personality of Kunai has changed from an emo gentleman to a rowdy, young, cocky punk. He looks around at the girls lying down and scolds the hooded men for trying to hurt women and children. The hooded men are equally confused at the sight of this flamboyant man and decide to attack him. He simply stands there, confident in his abilities, and in a single punch, knocks back all of the attackers at once. The guy with the Pandora's box starts motivating the other men to attack, but within a second, he appears in front of the guy, delivering a massive uppercut that sends him flying. All of the hooded men are frozen in place, afraid to even move, but he decides that enough is enough, and starts using his first special technique of 100 punches. He starts punching at the speed of lightning, before using his second special technique, attacking a huge number of enemies all at once. They all start running away, but he decides to pursue them, and uses his third special skill, to punch the ground with an intense force that creates a bunch of cracks on the ground, and an ethereal dragon emerges from it and decimates the rest of the enemies. He then turns around and goes over to the girls and asks them whether they are alright. Yas Queen is pretty awkward because no one ever asks whether she was afraid of the enemies, as she is already very strong and immediately becomes bashful, telling him that she is fine. She asks him what his name is, and he replies by saying that he is known as Kringler by his peers, and tells her that if any other bad men ever annoy her, she should just let him know before passing a cool smile and walking away, which makes her totally wet. Wet in the nose, that is, from all the nosebleeds. Kringler goes inside a dark alleyway and finally converts back to Kunai, who starts puking because of the cringiness he just displayed. Discount Rem approaches him and asks him whether he is fine, and he quickly regains his composure, saying that he is okay, before they both decide to head back to the hotel. Later that evening, they all end up in Luna's carriage, who is heading back to the royal palace, while Kunai asks her where her guards are. She replies that she has sent them all home, as she has him for defense. Kunai glares at her, telling her that he is not her bodyguard, but Luna fights back by saying he took the giant gold coin from her purse, which was enough money to pay a bodyguard to serve his entire life, which shuts him up for the time being. They keep traveling as the sun rises, and Kunai decides that what Luna is wearing looks too regal, and people will immediately know that she is a royal and might try to attack them. So he stops the carriage and gives Luna a common dress, telling her to change as he walks outside of the carriage for a cancer stick. He starts smoking while thinking about how his parents never loved him, when suddenly, the carriage driver breaks his train of thought by shouting that something is coming from a distance. He looks over to see a huge cloud of dust, and ahead of that, he spots a girl with a giant personality and a trap getting chased by what looks like a pack of dogs. He thinks that this is a good time to show his strength, so that his name could get more famous in this world, but he notices that the horde of these animals keeps increasing. Suddenly, it looks like there is a tsunami of these wolves running straight at him as the trap and mommy milker screams at him to run away. He starts getting scared as the horde runs straight up at him, but he tries to calm himself down, reassuring himself that his barrier will protect him, and that these beasts can't do anything to him. He takes a deep breath as both Luna and Discount Rem peek outside the window, but he tells them not to worry and to go inside. Both the big personality girl and the trap run past him and hide behind the carriage, while he stands defiant in the face of 1,000 beasts. One of them attacks him, but his barrier activates, blocking its attack. This gives some confidence to Kunai, who then starts smoking again before whipping out a bunch of throwing knives and shooting them at the beasts, killing a bunch of them, before creating a sandstorm which blinds them for a while as he charges up his final attack, which is a magical thunderstorm, which totally demolishes them. After that, he turns around and tells both the girl and the trap to be careful from now on, and not to involve others in their problems, before he enters the carriage and rides off into the desert. They finally stop again to water the horses, while he realizes that killing all those beasts gave him a bunch of points, and now he can summon one of his underlings from the game world, which excites him a lot as all of them are terribly strong. He takes out the base from his ass and assembles it to reveal the bunker again. He tells them to go inside and have fun, while he deals with some work. He walks over to the carriage driver and offers him cancer as well, saying that he will feel good, before commending him for not panicking and doing something stupid when the beasts came. He then goes off to think who he wants to summon. He had 6 underlings inside of the game, but he only has enough points to summon one of them, and after careful consideration, he ends up summoning Yu, a sadistic doctor and a scientist, because he felt like their defense against magic is very low, and they have no way of dealing with injuries. Yu is summoned right in front of him and looks exactly my type with a little bit of crazy in her. He is a little taken aback to see a character that he knew from the game actually come to life, but he regains his composure and asks her whether she knows who he is. She tells him that she doesn't have time for stupid questions like that and asks whether they are in a different world. Kunai explains whatever he knows to her, and she seems to understand what has happened really quickly. He tells her that they need to strengthen their defenses, for which she asks him to grow her giant fortress of a lab back. He refuses, saying that they cannot erect such a futuristic lab over here, as it will draw up a lot of attention. Suddenly, both Luna and Discount Rem come out of the chambers and greet Yu. They exchange pleasantries as Kunai introduces them all, before he asks her to have a look at Rem's injured leg. She sits her down and changes her fingers into a bunch of tools, which is very scary. She then injects her with heroin, and that seems to do the job and erases the scar from her body. He asks Discount Rem to stand up and see whether she feels any pain, and she is surprised and happy to see that she can walk like a normal person again and starts running around. They go for a short walk where she thanks him before they come back, and he tells everyone to get back inside the carriage. The carriage starts moving once again while the group enjoys the scenery outside, and after a while they finally reach a small stretch of land that seems to be under the control of Luna, who claims it to be her village, later correcting herself by saying it's her territory. They stop the carriage and walk up to the village, where they see everything to be barren, as the village seems like it has been starved of water for a very long time. Kunai asks her whether she ever checks up on the village, to which she replies that it's not her responsibility to check up on filthy plebeians, and this entire area in reality is controlled by the people appointed by the church, which is again very relatable. She claims that she has been told that this is none of her business, which makes Kunai realize that she doesn't have any idea how to control a territory and is being fooled by the church. He believes that if this keeps going on, she will end up having a revolution against her by the villagers, who will start hating her. He contacts Yu through telepathy and asks her if she thinks that the church is using Luna as a puppet ruler to impose their will, and she replies that she feels the same way. Kunai says that this is nice, as that means he can use this village for his own use and benefit. He walks up to Luna and tells her that he wants a corner of a village for himself, as he wants to open a hospital over here, and with you working as the miracle doctor, people will start flooding here in no time. He also plans to open a hot spring resort just besides the hospital, as everyone loves a hot spring. And if he is able to open both of them at the same time, he will be getting twice the normal revenue, and maybe after that he can even start making his own soap bars, which don't even exist in this world. One of the underlings from the church walks up to Luna and bows down, welcoming her to the village before noticing Kunai beside her and gets shocked as he has already seen a bunch of wanted posters in his name. Luna tells him not to worry as she's got him under control, and that the demon lord does her bidding now. He takes out his cancer stick and tells the guy that he doesn't give a crap about the church as he is Jewish, and tells him to go running back to the church, and tell them that from today onwards, Luna is taking the direct control of the entire village, and that they are not to interfere with its matters, no matter what. The guy seems to get worried and tells him that he will have to talk to his superiors before, but Kunai says that he thought Luna was the owner of this territory and asks him whether he wants to suggest that the land is controlled by the church and not the princes. The guy immediately backs off, saying that of course Luna is the owner of the entire land, and decides to digress. She asks Kunai whether what he is doing is going to benefit the village, and whether all this would increase the taxes she is able to get from the village. What a gold digger. Kunai gives an affirmative on both accounts, claiming that he will help her get the village back on its feet. They walk by the field, which is filled with bunny people, and when Kunai asked about them, Luna replies that they used to live in the main city earlier, but the Holy Empire, when once came under the church's control, ended up creating a divide between races, which led to hatred towards any other race apart from the humans. And these bunny people were forced to leave the city, and they decide to make a stronghold over here by living together in the sanctuary that they built for themselves. After roaming around, two bunny girls approach them and relay their problems about the water shortage in the village, which led to poor growth of the crops, and Kunai asks Luna why she never intervened when she knew her people were in trouble. She tells him that she was told to keep her hands out of the issues of the peasants, and that's what she did. They guide him to the water well, and he sends you inside to check, who comes out and reports that the well is drier than the girls when they see me, which is very concerning. He smokes another cancer stick and starts looking at the girls that he has creepily sent messages to, who don't reply to him when he notices that he has a bunch of points left, which he can use to basically craft a special magic pulley that brings up water every single time regardless of the state of the well. He activates the points and pulls a pulley out of his ass, before fitting it onto the well. Everyone is confused as they have no idea why any sane man would put a pulley on a dried out well, but Kunai is confident in his items and attaches it to the well. Luna questions him about the pulley and how big his ass is to store all of these things, but he ignores the second question before claiming that this is a special pulley that brings out water no matter what, and to prove his point, he sends Discount Rem up to pull some water out of the well. She happily obliges and hops over to start turning the wheel, and surprisingly enough, the bucket comes up full of clean, transparent water. Both of the bunny girls are beyond happy to see such clean water being extracted from the village. Kunai bends down to have a taste of the water and realizes that this is completely safe and clean drinking water. When everyone asks him who created the pulley, he replies that this pulley is from his homeland far, far away, which was imbued with magic. He then warns them that this is a very priceless item, and if anyone out in the village gets to know about it, there could be wars over it, which scares the bunny girls enough, and they promise never to let anyone out of the village know about this thing. He then opens his ass again, pulls out a huge bag of fertilizer and hands it over to the girls, who are overjoyed to receive such high-quality fertilizer. Luna asks him why he is doing so much for her village, and he replies that he wants to hire these girls and other people from the village, so that once he opens the hospital and the hot spring, he will have enough manpower and employees to manage them for him. He then finally packs everything up and tells the villagers that he will be back again, before getting back into the carriage and riding off into the sunset. That's it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for part 2, and watch this next video on screen.